Hello, my name is Sophia. I'm going to be sharing with you my BI final project. So let me pull everything up. Present. Okay, so this is my final project for BI. It's going to be an intro to Tableau, a review of how I learned Tableau, why I wanted to, and then at the end I'll show you my final dashboard, which has 3 different sheets in it and 3 different graphs that kind of go through my learning process and to show you a final project. So the project guidelines, just as an overview of what I did personally, I did an individual project, a visualization specifically in Tableau. I'll show you my dashboard, what I did with it, how I learned it, and then the slide deck is just to go through my learning process and just have a visual as I explain what I did. Okay, so what is Tableau? It is a visual platform transforming the way we use data to solve problems, empowering people and organizations to make the most of their data. If you see me looking down, I just have notes here, which is why I keep looking down. But just as a review of what Tableau is, it's a data visualization tool used in many companies around the world that helps visual trends in data to solve a specific problem. This part is done after the data is cleaned, which I will explain a little later in the presentation, but I think it's a very important tool. I think it's very useful if you're really comfortable with it. Even if you don't use it on an everyday basis, I think it's important to have a foundation in it because it allows you to use more of your creative side of the brain. It just has a creative process, which I think is really helpful in the data visualization analyst world. It also ensures that you don't stay too focused on like the data cleaning or the data scientist part of it, and allows you to grow your skills on all aspects and not just specifically in one area. So next we have Tableau and business intelligence. So as we've talked about in class many times, there are 3 parts to BI. We have data, which is identification, collection, and storage of the actual raw data. It turns into information, which is insights and knowledge gained from analyzing the data, which then needs to be turned into strategic action, which is action based on the information that we are given and what is found. Tableau falls specifically into the information side because we're taking the data that has already been cleaned and we're turning it into a visualization that allows for decisions to then be made based off of the information that we are presenting. Which falls perfectly right into this next aspect. So descriptive analytics. So if we look at the pyramid of analytics, there's 3 main ones. You have descriptive, and then you have predictive, and then you have prescriptive, which gets a little hard to say, but as I explain it, it makes more sense. So descriptive analytics is specifically what Tableau is used for, in my opinion. It focuses on the what happened part, which allows us to use data to tell a story of what happened in the past. So once again, taking this data that has already happened and turning it into something that we can then use for future action, future plan. This data can range from one-time data to changing reports, so like a bi-weekly report, a monthly report, a quarterly report, etc., which I came to realize in Tableau that you can do. If you want to do a year-to-date data, you can do that. You can do a monthly, a quarterly, which I'll show in the next couple slides. This leads to being able to predict what will happen in the future because we have this information that we've gotten from the past, which then leads into that prescriptive analytics side. And then from that, we can make an action plan, prescriptive analytics, which is that top of that pyramid. Lastly, what Tableau allows for. So it's very creative. When data is transformed into visualizations, it allows for trends to appear more clearly. It's easy to get lost in numbers if you're just focusing on that data cleaning part. It's hard to see a bigger picture, but Tableau, I think, really allows you to do that if you have really organized and cleaned data. No matter your skill level too, everyone can follow visual trends. I think that's really important. I think it's very inclusive to be able to have that in a business environment. So it can make understanding the data a lot easier, and therefore creates a space where everyone can add into the conversation of what we can use the data for. So next we have my process, brainstorming. So at first I was deciding I wanted to do a data analyst process rather than a visualization. I was going to get my information from my Apple Watch, which includes like steps, my running routes, calories burned, etc., everything that you can get from your Apple Watch. But after having issues and coming to realize that you really have to clean that data, Apple makes it really difficult for you to just get a data set the way that you want it. So after realizing that, I'll have to spend quite a bit of time cleaning it and putting it into graphs and charts, of making it easier to use for Tableau, I decided to pivot to another direction and focus more on the visualization part, which is where Tableau comes in. So since there was an issue, as I mentioned, cleaning the data, I went more into the Tableau part, and in order to do that, I come to step 2, which was how am I going to learn Tableau? So I just looked up easily on YouTube, like quick Tableau tutorial videos, and I found a great company. It's called Penguin Analytics. If you've never heard of it, I would suggest it. The videos are about 20-ish minutes long. And it goes from beginner to more, what's the word I'm looking for? More complicated, more sophisticated, I guess. The first 2 videos are great. It shows you how to download it, how to get it on your computer, how to get the data loaded in, everything that I think it's probably one of the hardest parts is getting the data into your computer. But the man that was doing the tutorial was very in-depth, but not to the point where you get stuck on like the little things. It kept my attention throughout the whole video. It was great. So that's how I initially started the process of learning Tableau, and then I also followed along. So from that video, they provide you a database of information that's already cleaned and organized very well, which is the direction I decided to go in with the information that I used in my dashboard, which you'll be able to see. It's from like an imaginary retail store, a Walmart type store, with sale employees, different categories that they specialize in when it comes to what they sell, etc. So I downloaded that database and used it for my dashboard, and also you get to follow along with him a lot easier because you're doing what he's showing you how to do. So it was a great way to learn. And then lastly, from that information that I gathered, I made 3 different sheets of graphs, which is part of my one dashboard, which just shows what I learned. And then I put it in this presentation, once again, just to explain my learning process. So before I go into my actual dashboard and my graphs, I wanted to explain a little like the difference between cleaning and then actually doing the visualization part, which I've mentioned quite a few times. But they both require a very specific skill set and like drive and determination to want to do it. Because when it comes to cleaning data, it's very time consuming. I mean, you're basically getting raw data that not really anyone knows what to do with, which is why I would say it's probably one of the most difficult aspects of being a data analyst if you want to go in that direction, because it takes a lot of time. Like, you're the one that has to decide which data goes together, what columns, what tables, etc. And although I do consider myself to be a very detail-oriented person, I think I would like that at one point in my career. I don't think right now is that point, but being able to do this project really showed me how much time it would really take and the skill set that it would take to do it. So with that being said, knowing how much time would have went into the actual cleaning rather than the visualization, I wanted to work on that other side, the Tableau, taking data that's already cleaned and turning it into a bigger picture. It allows you to see overall trends a lot easier, and then from there, you can make strategic action. You can make a plan to go forward on what the question of our business needs to be, how we want to move forward in the future. I did actually really thoroughly enjoy this part. I wouldn't consider myself to be a super creative person, but in Tableau, it makes it really easy to be creative, I would say, because there's so many options, there's so many different ways that you can make different graphs, you can use different graphs, you can use all of the awesome aspects of like the data, like the number part of it to do different things. It was great. I thought Tableau lays out a very easy way for you to make really good graphs and visualizations. Um, so yes, basically through this whole process, I learned cleaning isn't really my forte at the moment. I think maybe if I knew a little more information about it, a little more how to go into it, I could see myself enjoying it, but that was not me at the time, and for now I will stick with the visualizations. So this next part, I'm going to actually get into Tableau and my visualizations. So let me open that. Okay, so this is my dashboard. So just as a quick overview, again, the information that was given to me in the database is a store, a nationwide store that sells different categories of retail. So furniture, office supplies, as we see here, technology. So I just wanted to play around with it. I wanted to use as much as the data I could, but also be insightful. So it's not just very one-sided, as I felt my project before, my personal data project was, because it was on Excel. There wasn't very many aspects to it. It was just like you see it, it's a graph, that's it. These are a little more in detail. So this first graph on the top left, it's state sales with categories. So as we can see, this key right here, the darker the color of the state, the higher in sales they are. So California, for example, they had $457,688 in sales. And then we see specifically, when you click on it, it gives you the categories and their sale prices. So we see that technology just barely outweighed furniture here. And then we had office supplies as our least. And then if we want to look at, for example, let's look at Nebraska, one of the lower ones, because it is a lighter color on the graph, meaning that it didn't have as high a sales as the other ones. Technology, again, was the highest. Office supplies coming next, and then furniture with the total right here, $7,465. This one, I would say, I think is one of my favorites. I love how it's interactive. I love how you're able to see a stark difference in the color. And then these kind of all blend in together just because the sales aren't that much. But then again, you get even further more insights when you click on it, and then you get more information, which I thought was great. So this one definitely is my favorite. And then to the right of it, we have manager sales and categories. So we have regional managers. We have 4 of them. We have Chuck, Fred, Roxanne, and Sadie. And then from these, we can see their highest profit in the different categories. So for example, Chuck, once again, technology is his highest. And then we see how much he raised, I guess, in that sales, in that category, excuse me. So 267,938. Once again, still very interactive. I love how they, as in Tableau, gives you an option to divide the people, and also you can add multiple features. It's not just one thing on the x-axis, one thing on the y-axis. And then once again, being able to hover over it and seeing the specific category, again, like maybe if you couldn't read this, it just highlights it even more with the sales and everything. And also, if we go to the specific sheet that I did this on, I wasn't able to put this on there just because I didn't have enough room, but you can filter through different ones. So for example, there's subcategories within all of these categories. So accessories, so right now it shows everything. So if I just take away everything, I have nothing, of course, but if I do binders, so specifically in office sales, we see that Roxanne had the most amount of sales when it comes to binders specifically. Or if we want to do bookcases, which of course falls into the furniture, we see that Chuck had the most sales in bookcases specifically. So the filters I think are a great option. It doesn't crowd it, because again, if you want to do all of it, it puts everything into its own categories. But if you want to see specific details, so how much paper they sold, machines, I think it was really great and really insightful for you to use. So back to the dashboard. Lastly, we have year-to-date sales on the bottom here. So this is the sales across the whole company, and then divided into the 4 years, 2021 to 2024. But then instead of just having a single, for example, bar graph or bar for each of these years, Tableau allows you to divide it then even further into the months of each years. And I added these little dots so you can see the specific number. And once again, by hovering over, you're able to get a more specific sale number for each one. So we see that it peaked in 2021 in September. And then, but if we want to go to 2022, we see that it peaked in November. So then we can kind of compare what we did differently, maybe with marketing or maybe with what the market needed, what was saturated, what wasn't. I think this is also a great tool if you're trying to realize trends, because it allows you to use a different form, not just bar graphs, which I think you see a lot in Excel. So Tableau allows you to use different types of graphs, etc. So that was that. Tableau. Let's go back to my presentation. Okay. All right, so that was my presentation. Just as an overview, I want to say thank you so much for the semester. I've learned so much in both of the classes that you taught me so far. You've been a great advisee or advisor, not just for me, but for all your advisees, of course. But this class really allowed me to know more about what I really wanted to do within the business analytics field, which I think is important because it sounds ridiculous, but like if someone were to ask me what business analytics is before this class, it would have been a very vague answer of me trying to convince myself that I know what it is, but now I have a lot better understanding of it all. And then it also gave me the opportunity to work in those different levels of that pyramid to know what I want to further myself in. So I really appreciated it. It was a great class. And of course, my resources, just with each link. Each bullet point has a link hyperlinked. So yeah, again, thank you so much. Have a great summer and good luck in Indiana.